Let me ask you a question. Would you ask the same question that you needed an answer to 5 times to get to the real why behind the question? The reality is that a lot of us may have a question or something that we want to achieve, but when we answer that question, we answer on a very superficial level. We go for the first response. And a lot of the time, a lot of the unpacking and a lot of the real reason behind why we actually want to do something or want to achieve something is actually stuck in the depths of the answer. And a lot of the times, we need to peel the layers off of the answers and get to the real why, the real core of what's actually going on or what we want to achieve. And this is the reason that a lot of people, individuals, whether it's in a home experience or whether it's in a business experience, fail to launch, fail to achieve that said thing, the thing they want to achieve, the question, the why, because they never unpack it further than that first question of, in the new year, I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week. So you would be asking the question, why do you actually want to go to the gym 5 days a week? And I'm going to talk about in today's podcast and today's video the one how the 5 question reasoning came into being, and give you some examples so you have the ability to use this tool for yourself and unpack the basis of asking the same question 5 times. So let's get stuck in. Hi, I'm Nicola. For those of you who don't know me, it's lovely to meet you, whether you're listening to me on a podcast via audio or whether you can see me in real life here on YouTube. I'm a small business owner. I'm an affiliate marketer. I work in the online space. I've been in business multiple times. And one of the things that I find is being able to share what I've learnt, what I'm learning, what I'm moving through, because the reality is that everybody does it. Everybody stumbles through life. Everybody stumbles through business. Whether you want to admit it or not, I'm here to lift the veil on all those little things that trip us up, the imposter syndrome, our mindset, and just share stuff that I've learned that's really powerful. And I keep these really short and succinct, normally 15 to 20 minutes, unless I have a guest speaker. So let's get stuck into today's episode. So, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the 5 reasons why we should be asking a question more than once. And the reality is that it's when we ask a question to ourselves or we sort of set something in motion that we want to achieve, like it might be a new fitness regime, or it might be how we're eating, or it might be something relating to our business. And a lot of the time, as human beings, it's just natural for us to want to go to the core basic answer. And a lot of the time, the real answer and the real why and the real passion behind what you want to do is buried. It's buried under layers of answers. So today I'm going to share a little philosophy I've found around the power of actually asking a question 5 times, asking why 5 times to actually get to the real answer. The 5 whys isn't new. It's been around for a long time, and it was actually sort of brought into being by Toyota, the car manufacturer, as a problem-solving tool. So what they wanted to do was actually not look at the initial issue of something that was happening. They wanted to drill down and actually find out what the root cause of that was. And obviously this is from a technical aspect, but the 5 whys, this is why the 5 why concept is so powerful for us as individuals and as humans, because when we're wanting to move through something or create something or develop something, whether it's a new habit or whatever the case may be, it's really powerful to take that core question that we have, that we want to achieve, and unpack it and ask the question, keep asking the question 5 times until you actually get to the real root, the real cause, and the real passion, a lot of the time, behind why we're actually wanting to achieve that. I'm going to give you an example. And I'm going to talk about my health journey because it's personal to me and I can share that information with you. So I said I was going to share my why question and ask the question 5 times. So for me, I changed the way I live and eat and have a lifestyle many years ago because of my health. So I have a form of arthritis and my neck is fused and there's a few other things going on. But overall, I'm in really good condition. But a lot of the time, a lot of people come to me and say, they'll ask about what I eat and sort of the philosophy I have around food and why I choose like a clean living, like clean eating type lifestyle. So I suppose the question I'll use as my why is, why do I choose to eat clean, whole foods, etc.? And the standard answer to that is because it's good for my health, right? Easy. And if I'm talking to someone like at a networking event or someone I don't know, that would probably be the answer that I would give. And the whole concept of what we're doing here today, everybody, is that I want you to have the tools to unpack those really basic yet powerful questions to the next level, right? So obviously you're not going to share your 5 whys with this random stranger that you've met at a networking event, right? This is stuff that we're using for ourselves, for our own personal development and building on what we're trying to achieve, whether it's something within our business, in our personal life, or whatever the case may be. So we've got our first question. Why do I choose to do clean eating and live a healthy lifestyle? Because I want to feel better, right? So the next question would be, is the why associated with, so why do you want to feel better? Okay. So why do I want to feel better? Well, because, and don't get me wrong, these questions are actually going to be quite hard because the reality is that your brain's never gone past the first question. So you're going to probably come up against a little bit of resistance, if I'm being honest, and you may have to sit with it, or you may have to write it out, or journal it out, and maybe just think about it for a bit, because I can just about guarantee that you are going to get some pushback from yourself to answer these questions, right? So I'm reading these off a little prompter, so excuse me if I look away. So my second answer would be, so why do I want to feel better? Because when I eat clean, I have more energy, I have better mental clarity, and I feel better in myself, right? And I show up better in my business. Bit of a long winded answer, but essentially, the next question is, so why do I need to have more energy and have more clarity and show up in life in my business? Big question, right? Answer to that is because when I feel more energized, I feel more confident, I feel more connected, and I live more intentionally. So now we're getting down to some brass tacks, right? So that's question 4. So question 4 now becomes, well, why do I want to live intentionally? Why do I want to feel more confident? And the answer to question 4 is because essentially the alternative's pretty shit. I've been there before. I've been in burnout. I've been doing things just to get on the treadmill, right? And this is all about wanting to actually thrive and actually build something and not just survive, right? So the last question is sort of an adaptation of that very long winded answer. Basically, why don't I want to go back there? And I kind of answered that in question 4, but we unpack it a little bit more. Because life's too short, people. You need to be thriving in life, not just surviving. So to come full circle, and I want to be doing stuff that matters most to me, because then I'm going to be serving everybody that is out there in the world, i.e., doing these YouTube videos, putting myself out there and being heard and seen by everybody, which is exciting but terrifying at the same time. So if I'd just stuck to my first preliminary answer of, well, why do you clean eat? Well, because I want to feel better. That relates nothing about to what I'm doing here, what I'm doing in this space by sharing this information. So I hope you can see the power of unpacking your question or what you want to get clarity on and breaking it down to these 5, asking yourself, getting to the root cause behind what you're doing, because it's going to give you such passion and clarity, and really enable you to lean into why you are doing these things, or whatever the question is. So now I really want to encourage you guys to run with this. Give it a go. Ask your first question, ask your first why question, and then whatever the answer is, take that next question, move on to question 2, and so forth, and unpack the answer. And as I said, you probably will get resistance. I'm just about guarantee that you will have resistance. It's as simple as that. Because as human beings, we're not particularly good at exposing or allowing ourselves to feel into the stuff that's actually quite important. But this is why it is so important, because it actually gives you the tools. It actually gives you the tools to find your purpose and what you want to do and what you're passionate about, and where your actually kind of loyalty and real reasoning actually lies. I encourage you to do this exercise, and I really encourage you to write them out. So write out your questions, and then write out your answers, and then move on to step 2 and reframe that as your why. So you're asking a question why that relates to the answer of the previous question. And yeah, it's really powerful, obviously, to write stuff out, because there's a real connection between our brains and writing things out, for it to be sort of absorbed as fast as for us, as far as our learning goes. And just keep going, keep moving through the emotions, because I can just about guarantee that some of you will really struggle with this, as because I did, and I'm sharing it because it's something that's really powerful. But you actually sort of have to move through these 5 questions to come out the other side. I want you guys to get really honest about your questions and your whys, and don't be superficial about it. Just spend a little time, as I said, unpacking it and going through the motions, writing it out. And let me know. Let me know in the comments if you've tried this. I would love to hear and see what comes to the surface for you. See what surfaces in regards to maybe the thing that you're struggling with that you really want to achieve. Like, I mean, I know we're heading into Christmas and it's a manic time of the year, and there's lots of things that we want to achieve. And then, of course, we hit the magical new year, new year, new you syndrome, and all our New Year's resolutions go out the window and go down the toilet, because we go, yep, I'm going to eat better, and I'm going to go to the gym, and I'm going to walk 5 times a day, and things like that. So if we break down those things that we're trying to achieve, we might, hopefully, all things going well, fingers crossed, that when we actually find out the reasoning why we want to do those things, we're just going past the superficial stuff at the top, and we're actually heading for the stuff, the real reason behind it. And you might be really surprised at how this sort of taps into stuff that we really are not even thinking about, particularly around health and wellness and things like that. A lot of it relates to, as we age and get older, there are things that scare the bejesus out of us. And so we want to become more active and more mindful of everything that we're doing. So, everybody, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I loved sharing this little tip. Thank you so much for joining me today and unpacking this really very cool topic, and hopefully very powerful topic. So I'm going to sign off, and if anybody has any questions or they want to share what they've learned or what they've unpacked today, please comment below. Obviously, I would love you to subscribe and hit that like button to jolt the YouTube algorithm along. And if you're listening to me on Spotify, then thank you very much again. I really appreciate you. Until next time, have an awesome day.